Good morning and welcome to another episode of Josh and Pat. I'm Joshua Klein, joined by Patrick Cassett, and Big Dom has officially been promoted. Now, this comes off of a time where he was actually suspended because he was interacting with players on the other team in a way that maybe wasn't so positive. They actually end up going on to collapse, and it's one of those instances where you do something bad and you actually benefit from it because him not being there made the whole organization realize just how much Big Dom is actually needed in the building. So even though he did something wrong, they had no choice but to make him more important in the organization. Patrick, can you tell us about his new title and what will this mean for the future of the Eagles?
Yeah, and we all know that the longer the title is, the more important your job. So he's essentially player personnel GM of the chief security officer.
Gotcha. Right. And so basically nobody's getting on that field.
Nobody's getting on that field.
And you have to think about like places where that job is maybe more important than others. Philadelphia feels like it's a place where it might be a little bit more essential than in other cities.
I would say he's done a really good job of making sure that the people that aren't supposed to be on the field don't get on the field. The only thing that I will say, Josh, the guy that he happened to get in trouble with happened to be allowed to be on the field. I'd argue it was his job to be on the field.
Right. And that's where things get a little tricky because maybe he's doing such a great job of keeping people off the field that he's forgotten that the people on the field are supposed to be there as well.
Exactly. And it's interesting to see him take the Kyle Larson route, right? He does something terrible.
Gets canceled.
And then comes back and he probably gets paid even more money now.
Right. And we're happy for him. We're happy now. We don't know if maybe he's part of Nick Sirianni's regime, like Nick goes, he goes.
It could, but he's outlived the other regimes there in Philly. So this could be a real telling sign that if Nick goes, he goes. He's going down with the ship. Maybe too much Italian?
I don't know. Nick's job is definitely on the hot seat, but we'll see what happens. Jalen Hurts, hopefully going to be balling out this year. That's what people are saying. It's their time to shine, or they'll never shine. Is kind of what the message, the writing on the wall is. But I'm sure they're going to do great, and I'm sure they're going to figure
it out. And Josh, I spoke with Philadelphia Eagles workers at Lincoln Financial Field just less than 2 weeks ago.
Right. Okay.
And they told me they're all in. They said Nick is their guy.
Right.
And they told me that, look, they got one more year in him. And then it's so not. I said
that's one more year in him is very different than he's our guy. But
what they mean by one more year is because I positioned the question that I said, look, you guys won't be going into a rebuild, but maybe a little restructure. Regroup. And they were like, yeah. And so they're on board. They're all bought in. We'll see how that lasts and give it week 7.
Right. And who knows? Maybe Jalen Hurts will even be the person who's on the Madden cover, which is coming out next week. Patrick, we got a lot of people who could potentially be on the Madden cover. It's one of those things where they usually try to put the best athlete, most popular, maybe former MVP on there, how it goes. There's a couple people that we all think it probably will be, and I think those people we all don't want it to be, right? And that's Travis Kelce.
Yeah, there's a good chance. I think the odds are more than 0 that Taylor Swift will be on the cover of Madden.
Yeah, I don't think there's 0% chance.
I think it's higher than 0.
Can you imagine if that's the story mode? Is like, how it always used to be, you're a high school player, but like in this one, it's you got to go to your game and then be like, now, concert starts in 15 minutes. Get to the van, and then you're running and you're jumping in the Sprinter van. And that's like, and then you got to drive through to the concert.
I did see a report that. Look, I'm not saying that their relationship's on the rocks. I'm not going.
No,
I'm not. But I did see a report that Travis Kelce does get really jealous when Taylor Swift's dancing with the other male dancers on stage.
Really? But aren't they all a little? I mean, I don't know what their preference is and people that the male dancers would date, but feels like they're not going for Taylor.
I would think, just hear me out on this one, that's her job. Her job is to dance with the dancers.
Right, and
That's like if Taylor was like, hey, you know that athletic trainer that's down there on the field?
right.
I don't like it.
I don't like when she's growing wrapping up your leg. And she's real close to you. Yeah, I've also heard from an inside source. Well, an anonymous source close to Taylor's camp has apparently come out and said their relationship very toxic. Really? Very toxic. That's what I'm
There's
hearing.
no way.
They're saying that he's an alcoholic and that he's making her an alcoholic, and that's not good.
But just imagine, and this is we're living this hypothetical here, Josh.
Right.
Say they were in a very toxic relationship.
Okay.
How much of an awesome move is it for Taylor? It's like every time you get in a flight, you just fly halfway across the world, and you do a concert, and then everybody follows you.
That's also like everyone loves her.
Yeah.
So it's like you can never win. If you're in a fight and she's like, I think I'm right, and then she's like, ask any one of those 100. I'm gonna ask the 100,000 people at my concert tonight, and they're gonna tell me I'm right. Like, how we settle a debate, guys? They're like, oh yeah,
Do you think
that's an all-time bad situation to be in?
Do you think if they break up, like the amount of dudes that are gonna flock to have Travis's back is gonna be the all-time comeback for him?
I don't know. Is he too far gone?
That's what I was wondering.
That's what I'm trying to think about, and that's why I think if he was the Madden cover, it would be kind of poetic because people already hate the game Madden. And so, or like they protest and they buy it anyway. This would be the ultimate like Madden.
We're done.
Screw you, because we're going to put Travis Kelce on the game that we all know that you hate, that you still buy anyway. And guess what? You're still going to buy it. And that's going to be big time for them. But we don't know if it's going to be him or not. It could be a variety of other players.
Some other front runners, Josh.
I mean, Pat Mahomes could be on it again, right? He's already been on it.
I doubt it.
I mean, it could be C.J. Stroud, young guy. I feel like that would be
really cool if they just went like Brock Purdy.
I don't think Brock Purdy's going to make it. But how crazy would it be if he was?
Is there a guy that's still looking for a job out there? Can you get the Madden cover if you're not employed by a team?
Why? Who do you got in mind?
Isn't DeMar Hamlin a free agent? Or is he still on the Bills?
Dude, DeMar Hamlin cover would be kind of crazy.
And do it the Disney on Ice special edition fourth quarter fake punt.
Oh yeah, that's the first play you get to run.
First play you get to run. That's how you unlock the rest of the game. You got to convert it, or else your season ends.
That would be, yeah. That was a tough way to go, and we don't want that for DeMar. But he's gonna find a team, I'm sure.
Also thinking of a guy that's in Indianapolis now. Highlights are coming out. Josh, arm looks healthy.
Comeback player of the year, and I'm here. We're hearing word Anthony Richardson not in OTAs. So Joe Flacco could be not only the starter for the Colts this year.
Could be the guy.
Could also be the Madden cover. Comeback player of the year. Won it. I'd say he deserves to be on it for sure. Yeah, that could be interesting. It's not a good look for him though. He went from Baltimore to the Browns, which is actually where Baltimore came from, but also we hate. Then he went to the place where Baltimore went, which was
he's completed the trifecta.
The Colts, which is actually kind of is the Baltimore trifecta.
It is. And then you got to also remember that, he took a stop there with New York, and the Jets are basically just a Baltimore satellite franchise because they stole their GM.
Right. And they also stole the Orioles way back in the day to become the Yankees.
People forget that. Babe Ruth did play for the Orioles.
Right. Babe Ruth, Baltimore guy.
That's not quite how that works. The Yankees were a team before.
He was a Baltimore guy, though.
He's a Baltimore guy.
Right?
Yeah.
So we got to take down the statue, though.
Why?
It has no place. I think it's a curse. You can't have a statue up of... And for those the Orioles have a statue up of Babe Ruth.
Right.
A guy who played for team's rivals.
That was born like 500 feet away from home plate.
Right, but what have you done for me lately?
Not a lot. He's in a coffin. Could be cremated.
But even before that, the most recent wasn't in positive effect of Baltimore, was it?
I can't
Maybe does he have
Did
an
Babe Ruth have a positive effect on New York? All the dude did was drink beers.
Yeah, but he's got those records.
He's got the records.
and those won't be touched.
They
And if in today's game, they'd be doing the same exact thing. So, he's doing all right. He's doing all right. But I think that Anthony Richardson it being out is definitely alarming if you're the Colts because he has the highest ceiling to me of like I think he could be so good. But and he's on my fantasy team.
I think C.J. Stroud's probably the highest
ceiling, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great system too. But Anthony Richardson.
Let's play hypothetical here.
Okay,
who would you rather have right now, Anthony Richardson or Trey Lance?
Anthony Richardson.
Okay.
Why?
I was just wondering.
I would want Trey. Would you want Trey Lance?
In the same system, who would you rather have, Trey Lance or Anthony Richardson?
Yeah, Anthony Richardson.
Okay.
Even though injuries, it's alarming.
Yeah.
It's.
I mean, how many injuries did he have? And he played what, like 5 games, and he had 4 different injuries.
You had to look at those 5 games. It was electric. He had a concussion.
Did they win?
Hard to say, but he was doing stuff.
He was doing something.
He was moving.
Yeah,
he was doing a good job.
It did. I'll say that. It looked really
Where's
cool.
Minshew this year? Gardner.
What team does Gardner Minshew play for?
Yeah,
he's on the Raiders now.
He's all right. He
Huge.
is a Raiders.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's him and Aiden O'Connell.
That's right.
They're battling out for the job. So are we thinking that Aiden O'Connell is he a starter this year?
I feel like there's a lot left to be figured out there, right?
Well, are they trying to potentially go and get somebody coming up in this next year's draft?
Right. And who comes to mind there? That's the thing. I could name you one quarterback. That's
Well,
coming out.
and Georgia's quarterback
Carson Beck.
He's a guy that plays for Georgia.
Plays for Georgia.
Plays for Georgia. Yeah. So, yeah, they're doing all right. Moving on, Russell Wilson's looking jacked. This picture coming out. He's big. He's a big, strong guy. And the thing is, he's trying to secure that job. He's trying to be the number one guy. And there's a punt returner on the team who says, no. I'm in contention as well. And so will be interesting to see how that unfolds because, Russell Wilson, there was a time when he was a consistent year to year, weeks 1 through 5 MVP.
Correct.
Year to year, every year. Right? And then he had a little bit of fall off. And then everyone thought, hey, maybe we get in Sean Payton's system. He'll do better. He actually played a lot better last year, but I think it was despite Sean Payton because Sean Payton said,
We're done
I hate
with
your
this
guts
guy.
and we don't want you here.
Right.
So,
which is a weird spot to be in considering that he took the job knowing that Russell was his quarterback.
Right. And now their quarterback is
Zach Wilson.
That's number one guy.
He's taking first team reps is what I saw.
Okay. Now wouldn't you want to have Drew Lock right about now?
They probably wish they had Drew Lock right about
They
now.
had Drew Lock, right? I mean, they basically got poor man's Drew Lock and Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson, but then you also got to think about who they took in the draft and
oh, that's right, because they got Bo.
they got Bo Nix, right?
Big old Bo.
There's just a lot being thrown in the air right now, and it feels like there is a stereotype of quarterbacks that Sean Payton likes,
right?
And then we look at the one that he did not like,
and we go,
start scratching my head a bit.
Was he there for the Jameis era?
I think he was, but he wouldn't play Jameis. Remember?
Wouldn't play Jameis.
He wouldn't play Jameis,
even though Jameis was probably better, wasn't he?
Play Jameis. Remember, he was infatuated with this guy called Taysom Hill.
Right. Taysom was
Where did he go to school, Josh?
Boom.
BYU.
Oh.
Where did Zach Wilson go to school?
BYU.
Boom.
Wild. Speaking of jacked, apparently Justin Tucker up 3.5 pounds of muscle.
3.8.
3.8 pounds of muscle. Now, and this is obviously because he doesn't have to do kickoffs anymore.
Well, he wants to be able to still do kickoffs.
Oh, he does.
So he's trying to bulk up so he can get.
So he's going to do kickoffs, and because I see it a little bit, everyone's saying, "Oh, well, now we're going to get a separate kickoff kicker, and then we're going to have our field goal kicker." basically making two little positions there. And I wonder how that's going to look because imagine Justin, I mean, that's a lot less reps. Maybe he goes back even further. Maybe he's making like 70-yarders now.
Oh, I was thinking maybe he plays until he's 50 now.
Oh, just a little bit longer?
Right. It's a longer situation than he has to play in the league because you want to talk about getting that retirement pension from the NFL. Think about if you put in 30 years of service.
So true.
That.
He could do it.
He could do it. If there's a guy to do it, I think it's Justin Tucker.
And that's why I'm glad I got my number 9 jersey because that's the jersey that's going to last you. I don't know who's going to be coming
That's value.
in and out.
It's value.
But, yeah, you're going to get the most bang for your buck.
Before Lamar Jackson, let's not forget, the best player on the team was Justin Tucker.
Right. And I'd say still a lot of Tucker jerseys out there. Mm-hmm. You look, there's probably more kicker jerseys there than anywhere else.
Because you got to think, it's always a situation where it's like, oh, you got the kicker's jersey. Like, what are you doing, man? But in Baltimore, you wear the kicker's jersey because that's the utmost respect.
Yes. And I just feel like he represents me and what I stand for, you know? And so that's, Justin Tucker's a good dude. Moving on, we have big basketball stuff going on. The finals is here. Last night, the Mavericks got their butts kicked. Now, a lot of casuals will just look at the box score and they'll say, "Oh man, they got their butts kicked." We're within 8
they did.
at one point. They
In
they
the
were
third
down.
quarter.
They were down 25.
Right, third quarter, they hang the banner.
They come back in. They're down 8.
Put the banner up.
There's Kyrie Irving, or Luka or Kyrie wide open 3 look. They make that. It's a 5-point game. They may win that game. Instead, then they let.
How much they lose by?
They lost by a lot.
Yeah, right.
And they let the Celtics go on like a 13-0 run after that point, and they were right back into where they were. And so all their comeback.
But remember, if they made that 3, it would have been a 13-3 run.
Right. When they made it 3, it would have. They would have potentially been. It would have been a 5-point game. Maybe they win that game because that gives them the extra momentum boost. Instead, they get their butts kicked, and a lot of people are trying to figure out why. I think it's just one thing. Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah, I don't like that people are calling him KP.
KP. He played really well, and he had been out for a while, and people couldn't have seen that coming. He comes in, plays well. You know what? He actually he looks like somebody who would play the Joker in a movie.
Yes, he does.
And I don't like that we gave Jokic the nickname Joker.
Because it's not used well.
This guy is actually the Joker.
He looks
when
like
I look
Joker.
at his he looks like he's like gonna do something to me. It's like I'd be intimidated. If
Well,
I
he
was
did
playing
because
him.
you're a Mavericks fan.
Well, I'm not. I'm a Timberwolves fan. Now Mavericks fan.
Right. Name 4 guys on the Timberwolves roster. Go.
Anthony Edwards,
1.
Karl Anthony Towns,
2.
and don't forget about how many do I have to name again?
It was 4. It's not even
4.
the starting lineup. You just need to name 4.
Okay.
Right. Well, you're
Right.
a big fan.
Big fan.
Yeah.
I'd argue that's more than I can name for the other teams, though. So doing pretty good.
Name Celtics. Go.
Celtics. We do have Jason Tatum.
1.
We have Al Horford.
2. That's shocking. That's like saying Nelson Aguilar.
We got Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the Mavericks.
Kristaps Porzingis.
Mavericks.
Mavericks. We got Luka Doncic. Kyrie Irving. What's this?
Yeah. You got it. That guy's name. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the third maybe.
And that's how you know that he's equally as big of a fan.
Right. And so that's the thing. I'm equally across the board. Right. And so the thing is,
There's
though,
no bias here.
no bias.
Yeah.
Right. I can tell you though, starting 5, 20 Warriors.
2018 Lakers. What was the starting 5?
Okay.
Remember, you were a big Lonzo fan that year.
We did have Lonzo Ball.
Yeah.
Josh Hart. We had Brandon Ingram.
Yep. I was waiting for that one.
We had don't forget about
Wasn't Larry Nance Jr. on that team?
Larry Nance Jr. was on that team.
KCP?
I don't know if KCP
KCP was
he on that team. We also had with the other big white guy.
Alex Caruso was on that team.
I know, big white guy. I don't remember. But
Pau Gasol.
was it? No, it's not. It's not that guy. No, but that was a great team. Great roster.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. They knew what they were doing. If you look at those guys now, blossoming. Should have trusted the process.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of the process, Lakers do want a new coach, and it's Dan Hurley. Only issue is Dan Hurley's going for the three-peat right now in UConn. So, and Woj is reporting that it's done deal.
No, he's not.
No, but he's alluding. He's
Saying
like,
he's a front runner.
he's a front runner, and according to him, Dan is very interested.
Very interested.
The thing is, though, wherein other people say that it's actually not. It's LeBron's podcast buddy and
Podcast host.
right, and also somebody who actually he called a finals game last night for the first time.
He did.
JJ Redick. So the question is, out of those two, Patrick, who would you want leading your team?
I think it's safe.
Would it be the guy who has 2 national championships back to back, first in long time to do it?
Long time to do it since Billy
Comes from a
Donovan.
coaching lineage of great coaches, other than maybe his brother, who's not doing too good.
He's not great. I don't know how he still has that job.
Okay, or would you want the guy who has never coached, but you know what he can do? If you put him in front of a microphone, he will break down the play-by-play, and he'll tell you in hindsight.
In hindsight,
Yeah,
And
how he could have won a lot more.
and he'll catch an attitude with you, and he'll get mad, and he'll be like, "You guys just don't understand."
Yeah,
And that's who you would get there. So
because he knows ball a little bit better than you.
he knows
ball.
ball
a little bit better.
well,
than you.
because Josh, you remember,
And
where
the
he went to
casual
school.
fans are ruining the sport because they don't understand. They're
They're-
not seeing what he's seeing.
It's
Right.
way- the game's way harder than you think it is, Josh.
Yeah. So what are we thinking here, Pat? We thinking?
Yeah, it just feels like that LeBron James is not going to be a Laker next season because I just can't see LeBron playing for Danny Hurley.
Yeah, because Dan's a big buy into the culture guy.
Yeah, Dan's a big X's and O's guy.
Dan's big. Hey, we're gonna do things a certain way, and if you don't like that, too bad.
Yeah, Dan's a big. We're gonna be here for the long term process. It's not going to be a 1-year wonder.
Right. But then again, maybe because he's so good at developing players, he's the guy who can go and take Bronny James to the next level.
Best part about this, it's that LeBron has to sit there and go, you know what, this may be the guy.
It might be the best guy.
Yeah.
I'd argue if LeBron wants his son to play, there's no person who would be better to play for than Dan Hurley.
Yeah, but do you think LeBron's maybe a little bit mad that maybe Danny Hurley did not recruit Bronny to Connecticut?
Right. When he recruited his son, who I don't know who's better, if Dan Hurley's son or Bronny James is better. I'm not sure which one of those is better. But one of them has 2 national championships, and the other doesn't have any. So I don't know.
So I'm not an expert, but it just feels like I think the funniest outcome that could possibly happen here, Josh. Danny Hurley gets hired as the Lakers head coach, which I think he'll be a good head coach.
Oh yeah,
I think he will.
I think you gotta give him like 3 years to really see what his potential is. But yeah,
LeBron's gonna get JJ hired as the Cavs head coach.
Okay, really.
I think so.
And so who do they got? What do they got? Donovan Mitchell? That it? Over there?
Well, and it sounds like they would maybe get LeBron James and Bronny James.
What's the other guy with the big hair?
Yeah.
It looks like he's stoned all the time.
His name's not Moses Malone. It's
It's like he's like,
everybody knows who we're talking
you
about.
know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's he was the guy.
Josh Mobley,
Is that his name?
Isaiah Mobley. It's Mobley. It's something.
Maybe. But anyway, so that could maybe that could be a good deal. Is he going back to Cleveland? Is what you're thinking?
Yeah, I mean it could happen. We don't know.
Well, where's the Cavs draft pick? Are they getting Bronny?
Well, he'd be a middle of the round, second round.
I've heard he's going to go as high as 16. So
Which is so funny. You know how funny it will be when Bronny James is a first round pick.
yeah, it's just going to be one of those things where like,
Well, but if he doesn't get picked in the first round, what's going to be awesome is the second round of the draft is starting this year on a different day. It's not right after the first round.
oh,
Okay, they're starting it the day after the first round at 4 p.m. Now, Josh, I would sit here and I go, well, why is the draft going to be at 4 p.m. on the middle of the week? Well, it turns out there's a presidential debate that night. So I would love it if Bronny James gets drafted and then everybody just forgets about it. So we spent 90 days hyping this kid up to then not talk about when he gets drafted.
Well, and that's the thing, though. No, I mean, we could potentially offer full coverage of that.
I'd be willing.
Yeah, instead of debate. Well, because and they're not gonna let our RFK Jr. whatever debate. So, people are out. People are mad. They're gonna be talking about Bronny.
Right. So they'll be talking about Bronny. I didn't think of it that way. When you put it that
They're
way,
gonna be protesting.
ratings could be at an all-time high.
Could be an all-time high.
Yeah.
And what's gonna be great is every person that's drafted from 1 to whenever, every post about them is gonna be like Bronny stole the board. Bronny watch. Bronny watch. Where's Bronny going? And I do feel bad for Bronny in that sense, but I don't feel bad for him in the sense that he's going to be on an NBA team when maybe he shouldn't be.
Probably he should be playing in Europe.
Right. So, hey, I think he's going to make a heck of a GM one day, though. Front office guy? You don't think so? Little Trajan Langdon?
Trajan's got that. He's got that new job. They're hiring him. He's going to be full operations of the Pistons. I'm happy for Trajan.
Oh, going to rebuild.
He is. Yeah, no, because that's
he,
what he does.
He turned around
the Nets.
Turned around the Nets. Yeah, big time.
He didn't really have full control of the Pelicans.
And you know what, though? He got them Zion.
He did help them get Zion and make moves. Brandon Ingram, they helped develop him into an all-star.
Right.
So now Detroit, buy stock now, 2032 champions.
Oh, man. We might need to give a few more years.
Right. 2054.
54. They will be champions by 54.
By 54.
Right.
1 year they'll win.
Right. Okay, cool. Moving on. We got, let's see. Big Tom. Whoa, when will the White Sox win again? That's a big question on a lot of people's minds. Apparently, they have lost
14 in a row.
Yeah, that's usually not good. But, I mean, that's... If we're doing in NFL terms, though, think about this, though. Ready for this? 9.5 games is roughly equivalent to one NFL game.
Right. So they're really on.
So
they've only lost 6 quarters in a row. That's it.
They've only lost 6 quarters. That's like you have 2 bad weeks.
Which happens all the time. Talk about the Eagles last year. Talk about the Eagles. What happened to them?
Right. You lose sometimes. Guess what? I bet you the best teams lose back-to-back weeks sometimes. Sometimes full back-to-back weeks. And sometimes you might lose a game and then you lose the first half, but then you come back the next half. And you get in and you go after it. So
Right.
I think we're overreacting.
Right. So that being said, the White Sox are an all-time bad team. So if it's only 6 quarters right now, they're at least due for a 3-game losing streak. I got them going to 28.
Okay, so then you think 28. Okay.
Well, I'm just putting it into football terms here.
Football
right?
terms. Okay, so let's see. 0-17 would be. Yeah, I'm not going to go 0-17. They're going to go.
They would have to go 0-162 then, and that's off the table. They've already won 15 games.
How many games have they won?
15.
So they've almost won 2 games.
Correct.
They're close to getting their second game. I think they can.
They're like 2-7 right now.
I think they can get to maybe a 3-4 win team. Okay. And so, to me,
wait. So you're saying for the rest of the season they can double their win total?
A little bit more.
Okay,
because they're
a little
not
bit
quite
more.
to
So
2
you,
yet.
so you say the 35. That would be the worst. That would be the worst team I think of all time.
35. But if we're talking, but they're not even. Think about this though, because football terms, they're not even. They're right there. They're not that terrible. We've had teams go defeated. So really think about it. If you're a fan of the White Sox, don't worry.
Yeah, it's not
it's
really
all
a big
right.
deal.
Not that big a deal.
I think how many games in a row did the Bears lose last year?
More than that.
More than that.
Probably like 4.
So not a big deal at all.
Yeah, you guys will be fine. And if I know anything, it's that if you suck long enough, one day as long as you maybe draft like
Well,
four
doesn't-
number one prospects that
and-
all look the same
Well,
and get a new owner.
and what
you
doesn't-
will be good one day too.
And what doesn't help is that they aren't allowed a top 10 pick in this next year's draft.
Why is that?
Because they had a top 10 pick last year.
What?
They changed the rules, so they're
You
trying.
know, I have back-to-back top 10 picks.
Not anymore,
Well, how is the team supposed to go from bad to good?
because in the MLB it doesn't matter if you have that big of a top 10 pick. It's not like football.
Yeah, you know who was a top 10 pick?
Who?
Jackson Holiday.
I would argue he was the number one pick.
You know who's the top 10 pick?
Mm-hmm.
Adley Rushman.
Correct.
Okay. So that single-handedly changed the franchise around. The
The first one, the second one,
right.
eh,
Jury's out.
Yeah,
On that. But doing all right in AAA. I mean,
it's doing good.
doing solid.
It's doing good.
We're rooting for them. Did I ever tell you I went to this? I went to a Norfolk Tides game, and I was there, and I was sitting there, and like I was by myself. Granted,
Which is awesome.
it was all great. It was fun. I got good seats. There's hecklers, watching. Great game. Saw a walk off, grand slam, and there's this girl there though, and she was so beautiful. And I was like,
It's gotta be a player's girlfriend. It was Jackson's girlfriend, wasn't it?
no, it wasn't. That would be wife.
Oh,
But
that's right.
I was sitting there and I just saw her and she was just sitting by herself and I was like, okay, sitting by herself could be just a really big fan. Okay, could be a great fan of ball. And so the whole game I was playing like, is she? What's their situation? Okay, and
Who'd she root for?
what? Well, she was wearing a coordinated Tides green pants with the. It was a good outfit. Oh, she had like Tides color like shoes, like
Oh,
Nike
cool.
shoes.
That's awesome.
I was like,
Yeah.
okay, so she's a Tides girl. I was like, that's great. I was like, maybe she just likes dressing up on a Sunday and going to the game by herself, meet some people, meet some friends.
Turns out that probably wasn't.
Turns
the
out
case.
it's not the case because I saw a player in the dugout going, and then she went. Well, she was on her phone the whole game, by the way. He wasn't playing, but
Who was it?
and he's just no idea. But if I saw a picture,
you
I could figure
kidding
it
me?
out. It
So
wasn't
the moral of the story. So you were in awe enough to tell this story, but you don't even know who she dates.
I'm gonna figure it out, but I'm kind of sad about it. I was like, she was beautiful. Granted, like
Probably
makes
Hey,
sense.
Great.
Yeah, she was taken though.
Yeah.
Oh, could have been a sister though. We
Could
don't
have been
know.
a sister. Could have been.
Should have gone and said hi. Could have been an all-time opportunity, but
That could have been your future wife.
could have been missed out.
Never
What are you
know.
gonna do? Anyway, guys, that's the show. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Go to picksandpancakes.com to read everything happening in sports. We'll see you guys on Monday for another episode of Josh and Pat. It's Friday, right?
Today is Friday.
Big pickleball tournament tomorrow. Me and Pat are both have teams in it. Pat's kind of looking for a partner right now. I'm still trying to, I've been seeing people have been getting reps this week. I've not been. I've been away. I've been sick, battling, and so we're gonna be fine though. We're not gonna go into tomorrow too stale. We'll be all right. So we'll be fine. Anyway, guys, that's the show. A peace.